All right, all praise, all glory, all honors, most certainly due to the Most High God of the patriarchs Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I want to say peace to each and every one of you in the name of His Son. I count it truly a blessing each and every single time that I can come before you, the Word, and never do I count it as a light thing to do so. And we really spawn this lesson and the upcoming lessons leading up to what the world calls Mother's Day. Is quite frankly the disregard for the gift that has been given to us by the Lord through procreation. When you think about what a child is, we should understand that a child, as is in the title, is a blessing from the Lord. This is your heritage. And in this lesson, I want to deal with the ultimate purpose for man and woman coming together, and even the blessing that is, again, with procreation and within the institution of marriage, and the ultimate objective of the creation, because with procreation amongst human beings, this is ultimately the Most High procreating. So I want to pick it up in the 127th division of Psalms, a song of decrees for Solomon. And I want to pick it up at verse 1. It says, if the Lord build a house, they labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman waketh but in vain. It is vain for you to rise up early, to sit up late, to eat the bread of sorrows, for so he giveth his beloved sleep. Now notice what he says in verse 3. He says, lo, children are an heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. Now, this is a blessing of the Lord and his heritage. But when you consider how children are being disregarded through the practices that are being practiced today, through the abortion procedures, so much so not even in the clinic, but in homes. And after Roe v. Wade, so many abortions are still taking place, more and more, almost 1 million. And the fight to destroy children, to destroy progeny under the guise of bodily autonomy and women's safety, there are certainly issues of women's lives that are at stake, and things happen when there is a pregnancy. However, the vast majority of these procedures that are being done because, number one, there's such a disregard for human life. Number two, they're born out of the selfishness, because number one, you're not even considering the child that you could potentially bring forth through the act of sexual intercourse. A child is the ultimate objective of sexual intercourse, whether you believe it or not. That is the ultimate end. And I always say, people ending up pregnant and being angry after they've had consensual sex is like somebody jumping out of a window and getting mad they hit the ground. Hey, listen, that is ultimately what can take place. So, but it's a beautiful thing when done right, and it is a destructive thing, and can be, when it is done haphazardly. And even in that, there's still the blessing of life. Even in that, even in the case, and it may sound controversial, but of assault and even incest, there is still life. And the idea, the notion that somebody, because of the circumstances that, it may be hard, they shouldn't come forth. I've heard so many people say, so many women, unfortunately, say, in person, I've heard them say this: I'd rather have no child than bring my child into extenuating or hard circumstances. Well, I believe it was Tupac who said, a rose that grew from the concrete. The annals of history are rife with individuals who have come to be known and renowned and made great contributions, and they were born in terrible circumstances. Even there are cases where there were attempts to terminate the pregnancy, and it didn't work, and a child came forth and was able to contribute. Understand that the harsh reality of life is not a reason to terminate life. Harshness and I always say the human condition is a wretched one. The state of human condition is one of struggle. And And so to say that you want to terminate life because there may be struggle is innate, is inherent in life itself. Even to bring forth life, a woman has to struggle. A woman has to bring forth pain for that child to come forth through the matrix and come into this world, having no control over the situation that he or she is born into, but that is the reality of life. But it is also reality that it is human life that has personhood, that should be respected, that began at conception, and it is a brand new being. And to throw it away, it really shows the lack of humanity that is so prevalent in the society. And when those who should nurture children have become the ones who want to kill their children, those who should care for children are the biggest, quite frankly, murderers of children. It says something about the society as a whole. It says something about the weak men that allow it. And it also says it speaks to the ignorance of people who believe that this can continue on with there being no retribution. I'm here to tell you today that that is not the case. And I speak on this a lot because I believe it is the biggest problem this society faces right now. In particular, our people, we have been bamboozled. And I'll talk about this more at a different time, but we have been bamboozled to go along with this murderous genocide that has been going on for years. I wrote a book about this years ago called Killing Black Innocents. And I suggest you go read it, quite frankly. Nevertheless, children are an heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. Let's go to Joshua, the 24th chapter. Joshua 24. Joshua 24, and we'll pick it up at verse 3. Now notice what now here in the context, Joshua gathers all the tribes and he's going to charge them that they should serve the Lord. But I want us to pay attention to what he says here. He says in Joshua 24 and verse 3, it says, "And I took your father Abraham from the other side of the flood," that's the other side of the Euphrates River, "and led him throughout all the land of Canaan, and multiplied his seed and gave him Isaac." See, that's what the Lord gave him. See, progeny is everything. When you look, and we've lost that, when you look in the past and you look at the family dynamic, you saw it was all about the future. It was all about children. It was all about progeny. And even it wasn't just the men, the women were all about building up the household. Like I read in the 127th division of Psalms, a wise woman even will build up her house. And what did Rachel and Leah do? They built the house of Jacob. So it says, "And I gave unto Isaac Jacob and Esau, and gave unto Esau Mount Seir to possess it, but Jacob and his children went down into Egypt." And their heritage came later. But what the Lord gave that. And what did he give? He gave children. He gave seed. He gave life. Let's go to Jeremiah, the 1st chapter. And so when you think about what a human being is the ultimate resource. You know, the human being is the creation of God. We're made in his image and his likeness. And you don't know who you are getting rid of when you go through these procedures. But now let's pick it up or take these pills. Let's pick it up at Jeremiah, the 1st chapter. Jeremiah, the 1st chapter. And I want us to pay attention here. This is Jeremiah 1 and verse 4. It says, "Then the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations." So now, so that sanctification took place prior to him coming forth out of the womb. But what was he? He was a prophet unto the nations. So you don't really know what a person can be. Even our Messiah, came forth through a womb. What if Mary or Miriam had the same mindset that so many women have today? But now let's pick it up. Let's pick it up in Isaiah 49 chapter. Again, I say, who has been bamboozled you to think that getting rid of your children is the right thing to do? Notice this is Isaiah 49 chapter. Now, Isaiah 49, it says, concerning this one, it says, I'm gonna pick it up at verse 5. In verse 1, it said, listen, O owls, unto me, and hearken, ye people from far. The Lord hath called me from the womb, from the bowels of my mother hath he made mention of my name. Okay? So now that's a call that took place again on somebody's life. But now notice who it is. It says, and now saith the Lord that formed me from the womb to be his servant, to bring Jacob again to him, though Israel be not gathered, yet shall I be glorious in the eyes of the Lord. My God shall be my strength. And he said, it is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob and to restore the preserved of Israel. I will also give thee for a light to the Gentiles, that thou mayest be my salvation unto the end of the earth. See, again, you need to be mindful who's coming forth from the womb. Life is coming from the womb. And not just that life, but one that is coming to bring life can come from the womb. One that's coming to bring a warning can come from the womb. One that's coming to bring healing to come from the womb. One that is born into the world to bring deliverance through military feats and is a warrior. The warrior has to come through the womb. The scientist has to come through the womb. The scholar has to come through the womb. The teacher has to come through the womb. Even the adversary that one must defeat, like the one slaying a beast, has to come from the womb. See, it's all from the womb. And notice what it says in verse 15. It said, so now it's talking about how he's going to not forget his people. But it said, can a woman forget her suckling child, that she should not have compassion on the son of her womb? Yeah, they may forget, yet will I not forget thee. But so it was such a foreign concept. I'm reading that because it's such a foreign concept to forget the child. The woman that's suckling, I can't forget her child because the child is everything. But the woman today has forgotten the child. So you got extremes from saying, I don't want a child, to the point you got a child, now you're going to kill a child. Now, this is, or you bringing a child you setting a child up for failure in the circumstances of which you bring the child into the world. We have to change our way of thinking. Let's go to Genesis, the first chapter. Genesis, the first chapter, just so we understand what we are. Genesis, the first chapter. Because if we understand what we are, perhaps we won't have the mindset that we have regarding children. Again, such a lack of humanity. This is Genesis 1 and verse 26. Genesis 1 and verse 26 reads, and God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So now, and we understand that this is the Father and the Son, Elohim, that are here, and one said it and the other did it. So now it said, let us make man in our image. We were made in the image and the likeness of God. As it says here in verse 27, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. So we are made in the image and the likeness of God. My question to you is, how do you so haphazardly destroy the one who was made in the image and the likeness of God, of Elohim? How do you do that? It's because you don't understand who you are. You don't understand what you're bringing forth. You don't understand procreation. Everything around you is trying to procreate. We're in a season now of spring where everything is trying to procreate. The birds, the other animals, the beasts of the field, even the trees and the vegetation, everything's trying to procreate, and man is killing himself. It says, when I say man, I mean mankind. That is satanic. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. And the verse 28 reads, and God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. So now, or fill the earth. So now we had a mandate for man, which is to do what? Be fruitful and multiply. But that is not just to be done in any type of way. He gave you an institution for which to bring forth seed and to multiply. This is Genesis, the 2nd chapter, and verse 23. So now man was made first, and the woman was brought forth from the man. See, this is evident that you have a male and a female, and a man and a woman, that they should be together. This is evident clearly in the creation, and it's gotten so bad, and again, you have lost sight of what you are. So you would think, you would ask the question, what is a woman? Or say that anybody could be a woman as long as they think they're a woman. You crazy, and you want me to be crazy too. You imposing. I heard this older woman sounding like she perhaps was from England, and she was a journalist, and she was doing an interview with somebody, and she said the woman she was interviewing said she wanted to be called they and him. She said, man, I'm not going to defy all the rules of her English language for you. You might want something, but you can't impose that on me. And that's what's happening today. And people, like I said, a lot of it falls on people who know better. Everybody has capitulated to this nonsense. There are distinct differences between men and women. You have anomalies, and I mean anomalies to which you would have one who is intersexed or something like that. But understand those are anomalies. That is because we as a species, after the fall, in a fallen state. So these things tend to happen. Just like you could have somebody who was born without an arm, or born without a leg, or born with mental deficiencies, but that's still life though. You understand? So now you had a male and a female, and Adam, he named her Isha, verse 23, because she was brought unto the man. That's just a side note. She was brought unto the man. You know, men, just a side note, men today, they chasing women and doing all these things. You need to first put the Most High at the head of your life and your purpose. And then the woman falls into place with that. But nevertheless, it says, and Adam said, this is now bone of my bone. I'm going to read verse 22. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from man made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, or Isha, because she was taken out of man. Now, why am I reading this? Because remember, he said, be fruitful and multiply, replenish the earth, but he gave you the institution of marriage to do that. Verse 24, therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. What does one flesh mean? That means they would come together in sexual intercourse. He made man, he brought the woman from the man's regenerative rib, and then brought her back unto the man. The man and the woman come together, rather, and become one again, or one flesh, through sexual intercourse. See, this is the institution of marriage. It said, and they were both naked, the man and his wife, or Isha, that's his woman, and were not ashamed. But now, what is the ultimate purpose for that? Let's go to Malachi. Malachi, the 3rd chapter. Malachi, the 3rd chapter. Because why did he bring forth man and woman? Understand, he made everything after its own kind, see within itself. When you look at when you look at the beasts of the field, and when you look at vegetation, so it is with man. But he gave man the institution of marriage to to come together. But why? Let's pick it up. Is it just to have a good time? That is something that is, if it was like getting a root canal, it wouldn't happen. People act like this is rocket science. Sitting there, what is a woman? And you questioning who you are. You have a penis or you have a vagina. That, look down, you figure it out. You figure out what you're supposed to be doing or who you are, look down. You're not, you're just so crazy today. People are identifying with animals, calling themselves furries. Well, why would you want to basically degrade yourself and identify with a dog that licks his butt? Why would you want to identify with a lower life form? So notice what's going on. Everything is about you doing the opposite of what he made you to do. Everything is about you being opposite of what he made you to be. Just like our people. We have I give this example. We have internalized the idea, and I'm going to just say the word, that we are niggas. You're not a nigga. You are the child of the Most High. But see, that's satanic. We have internalized that. So if you're a nigga, you can't be a child of the Most High. If you're a nigga, how are you going to be righteous? If you're a nigga, how are you going to walk according to the laws, statutes, and commandments that he gave you? If you're a nigga, how are you going to be a kingdom of priests and holy nation sanctified? If you're a nigga, how are you going to be what he made you to be? You can't. We must change our way of thinking. But now, why did he bring them together? Malachi, the 3rd chapter, in verse 14. So in the context there, he's talking about the treachery that men have with their wives, or can have. He says, so you come crying to him, and he don't want to hear. He doesn't want to hear that if you're not going to do right by your wife. He said, yet ye say, wherefore? Because the Lord hath been witness between thee and the wife of thy youth, against whom thou hast dealt treacherously. Yet is she thy companion and the wife of thy covenant. Notice what he says in verse 15. And did not he make one flesh? Yet had he the residue of the spirit, and wherefore one? In other words, why did he make you one flesh? Why did he bring a man and a woman together within the confines of marriage? He says that he might seek a godly seed. That's what he brought you together for, to bring forth a godly seed, because with him it's about procreation, and we're gonna find that he's procreating himself. But if that is the ultimate purpose for sexual intercourse, and you have degraded it so much, and then when you have fruit that comes from the becoming one with another individual that you will throw away, you are totally contrary to the design and plan of the Most High, and you are acting in a very foolish way. You are acting in a very foolish way if you first of all engage in that. Because if you think about, first of all, he gave the institution of marriage for which to do that. And then if you think about that, you wouldn't just throw your seed anywhere. Quite frankly, it's some women you shouldn't even have in your presence, let alone laying down with. And women, it's some men or some males that you shouldn't even have in your presence, let alone laying down in a bed with. Because this is a very serious thing. And we don't treat it seriously. And so many of our problems, particularly us as our people, many of our problems are a result of not engaging in appropriate sexual behavior. Okay? Look at our communities. Our communities are destroyed by single motherhood. Why there's so many single mothers? Because sexual freedom, is the norm. Well, when you get that, and you had the ones that do survive, had the children, you set them up to not have what they need automatically. But now he said, and did he not make one, yet had he the residue of the Spirit, and wherefore one, that he might seek a godly seed. That's what it's for, to seek a godly seed. Let's go to Psalms, the 82nd division. So you can understand, if you understand what you are, you can understand perhaps what you should be doing. You should understand that the children that you bring forth are precious, because they are a part, as are you. All of us are a part of the procreation of God, of Elohim. This is Psalm 82 and verse 1. He says, God standeth in the congregation of the mighty, he judgeth among the gods. Now the word there's Elohim, and sometimes that can mean like a ruler, but he's talking about amongst man. And notice what he said, how long will ye judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? So now what is it? What is he getting at? If you are made in the image and the likeness of God, you should be like him. That's why I say you don't know if you are. Like I said, I gave the example earlier. I'm going to say the word again. If you call yourself a nigga, you're going to do what niggas do. But if you call yourself a child of the Most High, you're going to do what the Most High wants you to do, or what have you to do. Because you understand who you are and you understand your potential. So he's saying, so man has gone totally astray. That's why when you saw early on, we didn't read it, but in Genesis 6, you see the intermingling of the sons of God and the children of men. Now you got being unequally yoked, and that's going to, the situation was unequally yoked. It's going to breed corruption. It's going to breed sin. But that's not what he made you to do. He said he brought you together to bring forth a godly seed. So now he said, God standeth in the congregation of the mighty, he judgeth among the gods. How long will you judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? He says something that you should be doing. He says, defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy. Deliver the poor and needy. Rear them out of the hand of the wicked. Now he said you're supposed to be defending the poor. And he said something else, the fatherless. The least, I'll say this, the least that I could do is try to speak for those who cannot speak in regard to this situation. I'm always talking about this because I believe it to be a very serious situation that needs to be addressed. He says they know not, neither will they understand. I'm talking about man. He said they walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. If the rate that you killing your children, all the things that are being done, everything is out of order. And one thing you need to understand, I hope you hear me. I hope somebody hears me, that you cannot kill 60 million children and not expect judgment. You cannot kill 60 million children and not expect judgment. You are a fool if you think that you can have that much murder of the innocents and think that nothing's going to happen. I'm not talking individually. I'm talking about to the country. This country is headed toward judgment. That's a universal principle. You reap what you sow. Eventually, like any other empires come, and when it cup of iniquity reaches its brim, they fall. You cannot kill 60 million babies and expect no judgment. You cannot destroy the institution of marriage as the United States has done and expect no judgment. You cannot destroy children through transgenderism. These butchers that are calling themselves doctors and not expect judgment. And it is sanctioned by the government. Understand how this thing carries out. If if there's not a retraction or some reversal to some degree to where it was for an instant in Nineveh, understand sackcloth and ashes is going to be that time. It's going to be a time for mourning because judgment is coming because you don't know what you are. What are you? He says in verse 6, I have said ye are gods and all of you are children of the Most High. When he made you, he was recreating, he was procreating himself. Understand who you are. And with that, I just want to say this. I appreciate peace to you, Brother Tim. Peace to you, Brother Mo. I see you on there. Appreciate you, brothers. And to those who are listening that have actually gave a thumbs up to the video, I appreciate that as well. And I want to say peace to you. And it's always my prayer that you were edified.